Hi, I'm Allison.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And this is our podcast where we catch up with one another.
And it's called Queer Cinema Catchup.
And that's all you need to know.
But today, just like last week, is another special episode because we will actually not be talking about a movie.
No. Well, we did just watch a movie, but...
We will be talking about the new Taylor Swift album called...
The Tortured Poets Department.
And what's your theory?
Okay. It's not really a real theory, but... when I first heard the title...
How you give a sigh of relief when I asked you that.
I was like, it's the time to share.
Finally.
So when I first heard the title, I was sort of like, that's very long and striking. I don't really know what to make of it. And then like a day later, I was like, it kind of reminds me of something. What does it remind me of? And then it suddenly came to me that it kind of reminds me of Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. And I didn't know why. I think it was something to do with the word department. And then I started Googling or Wikipediaing that book, so I don't really remember the plot. I remember there's a secret society in that book that leaves a bunch of Easter eggs all over the place. And they're called the VFD, the Volunteer Fire Department.
We did talk about this in the last episode.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh. So why'd you ask me?
Well, I just mean like, what's your theory? Like, I don't know anything. We can go through the track list really quick. So yeah. It's 8:45 right now.
Yeah, we just watched the Eras Tour movie. Joe had never seen it.
It was very good.
And now we're going to listen to the podcast, and then we're going to have it. We probably will record the rest later, but we're going to do a little bit now. All right. The track list. We should also remember that there are different variants, so we aren't going to be seeing all the...
What do you mean different variants?
There's like 4 different versions of this, and each one has an extra song.
Here, I'll look it up. The first song's called Fortnite.
Which is going to be a music video tomorrow.
And what do you think that song's about?
A fortnight is 2 weeks.
Really?
I think so. I think they use it mostly in the UK. Her ex-boyfriend is from the UK. Did it take 2 weeks for their relationship to fall apart? Is it 2 weeks we're looking forward to something exciting happening? I don't know. Those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm more curious like what the style of the music of this album will be.
That I can't really help you with.
Like, do you think it will just sound like Midnight's?
No.
What will it sound like?
I don't know.
If you were to choose an album that's going to sound like the most, what would it be?
But I feel like none of them really sound the same, right? Like, except for Folklore and Evermore. But is this like connected to Midnight's? It's so close to Midnight's. Maybe it is.
2 years?
Maybe it is going to sound like Midnight's, and it's going to be kind of a continuation.
What percent of country do you think this album will be?
0.
0? But Daddy, I love it.
Okay, good point. I just think it's too close to the Beyonce release. I don't think she's going to do... And then she has debut down the pipeline coming.
Oh.
What's the second one?
The second song is The Tortured Poets Department.
What is that going to be about? I don't know. I just don't...
Well, so then there is the image of that music video that popped up when I Googled it.
Oh, you saw it.
And she does look like Bella Baxter.
Yes. So the music
video... Which also is kind of stylistically like A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yes. I'm telling you, I don't know. I don't understand what the connection is.
But she's pulling from that.
I mean,
so what is A Series of Unfortunate Events
about?
Yeah.
It's about it's about children who are orphaned who get sent to go live with Count Olaf.
I know that. But like, what about the theme? Like, what themes, like emotionality? What would she pull from that?
I think the theme is of that book, especially because if you remember, each time the kids almost get what they need or want, and then it's taken away from them. And they also never really get answers to the mysteries of like what happened to their parents. And there's always like little clues about the secret society and they're trying to figure it out. So I guess if I had to, have read it in years, I would say it's something to do with like life is very uncertain and full of pain and we can't really make sense of it. And so I'm going to posit that might be the thesis of the album based only on the fact that it reminds me of A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Now track 8 is called Florida with 3 exclamation points. That doesn't really, that song title seems to depart from...
I can connect it. Florida. Really? A lot of bad stuff happened in Florida lately.
Actually, yeah.
I don't think it's going to be about that, though.
Who's Afraid of Little Old Me?
I like that because it makes me think of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Do you know what that play's about?
Track?
It's not what you think it's
about. Is it
about
abusive marriage?
No. Well, it's about 2 couples and they go to a dinner party. And I believe they try and hook up with each other. Okay, I actually don't know. I never read it, but I think somebody told me that one time. Maybe I should fact check.
Track 12?
Yes.
Emo?
I think it's supposed to be Love of My Life. LOML. Oh, LOML.
But it's a lowercase L, so it looks like a capital I.
Oh.
No, I.
I don't know. Some of the my favorite ones, the ones I can remember, all the extra ones that aren't going to be on this album, like the Albatross, Black Dog.
Wait, there's an Albatross and there's one called The Alchemy.
Yeah.
Clara Bow. Who's that?
Remember I pointed out her Hollywood star?
Oh,
Clara Bow's an old, tiny
So all songs
actor.
have a tragic end.
Probably.
So Long London.
That sounds.
Down Bad.
Fresh Out the Slammer.
Guilty as Sin.
Is that the title?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I Can Fix Him. No, I really can.
Is that, you added that part, right?
In quotations, it says, no, really, I can.
Oh, no, I think you said, no, I really can't. I was like, that sounds psychologically healthy. And
I Can Do It With a Broken Heart.
That sounds sad.
The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived.
That makes me laugh.
And then,
everything I'm doing is just like, sad, laugh.
And then My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys.
I don't like that one.
So without having listened to any of these songs, and you just have to randomly choose one that you're going to select as your favorite.
Clara Bow. Or I Could Do With a Broken Heart. Or The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. What about you?
I feel like it has to be one of the first 3 tracks.
Why?
Because I feel like I base everything off of No Doubt albums and how they release their singles. And they'd always put
the best songs first.
One of the best songs of the albums would always be one of the first 3 songs. And it would fluctuate between being track 2 or track 3.
Do you feel like Midnight's the best song was first?
No, but Anti-Hero is one of the top first 3 songs. And I remember the first time we did the listen through, that was like the most memorable and catchy song for me when I did my first listen through. Okay. I remember like after that song played, I was like, I liked that.
I'm loving our descriptions. They're just so like simple and emotional. Yeah. Sad.
Happy. Damn. But then it's also risky choosing like the title track of the album as a song to choose that as it's going to be the banger. That's kind of makes me nervous, but it is track number 2. I'm going to choose The Tortured Poets Department.
Okay.
And so you chose Clara Bow.
Bow. Yeah. Bow. I don't know. Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'd change your answer.
Why?
It's track number 16.
But I'm going to want a good story. And I just feel like that one's going to give me a good story about a lady. I'm simple to please.
Right. So you chose Clara Bow as your leading favorite song off this album.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing.
But if I really could pick
The Tortured Poets Department.
I would pick The Black Dog. That's not on this version because I don't know why. I just really think a song called Black Dog sounds great. Maybe because I had a little black dog when I was younger. As did you.
Yes. Wait, we never talked about.
We've never talked about this.
We had dogs. Wow, that's really good.
We have so many connections, you guys. But the most. Go ahead. You could start it off. Kick it off.
One of my sisters was fixated on getting a dog. She wanted a dog so badly, and she had a subscription to Dog Fancy magazine. I think she'd get them monthly, and just like feature a different dog on the front.
We would play a game and.
Where you get to choose what dog you get?
We were like, so sometimes they were sisters, sometimes it was like mom and daughter. And I can't remember exactly the gist, but we like owned a dog
store.
Like we had something to do with the dog magazine, so we were always poor. I don't remember exactly what happened.
So she was always trying to convince my parents to adopt a dog, but they'd never go for it. And I don't really know why, but then...
I know why.
Why?
Because a week before we got our dogs...
Spoiler.
We were at a volleyball game, our volleyball game. And then my mom took us to Subway after. And then we went to our favorite place ever called Absolutely Puppies, which was a place where you could take dogs out of the pens and play with them and hopefully buy them, but we never did. But that time we went, and there were these adorable miniature schnauzers there. And we were looking over the crate, like obsessing over these dogs. My mom came over, like, Mom, look how cute. She said something very interesting, which was, they are really cute. And I just heard in her voice that finally she was going to cave and let us get a dog. So then a week goes by.
It wasn't quite what I was leading to yet. Anna always really wanted a dog, and I think she always wanted like a lab. Was the dog that she always wanted.
Well, that's why.
And she was trying to convince my parents to get this dog. She like did all this research, did all this studying for it. And then it was just like one Sunday after church, we went to Absolutely Puppies. Mm-hmm. And
it was a week later.
But my sister who did all this research on like what dog she wanted to get, all of a sudden was just gonna like jump on a miniature schnauzer. It didn't make any sense to me. I was like, why would you carefully for years subscribe to goddamn Dog Fancy, do all these goddamn quizzes, and then just cave at the last minute?
But Daddy, I love him.
Exactly. So it was after church one day. Your family
was already there,
and then we showed up. It was like really common after church, you'd like run into people, but it was funny.
I thought you were going to say it's really common to go to Absolutely Puppies.
It was the thing to do. The Lord, then the dogs. So Did you adopt right away?
Yeah, so my dad, like, they must have already talked about it because, like, we went there with the intention of buying the dog. My brother wasn't there, which is really strange. Like, I remember we called him on the way home being like, we got a dog.
Honestly, knowing everything about your brother doesn't sound strange at all.
But then I wasn't sure it was going to happen. But then I remember I was looking at the crate again and my mom was like, which one do you like? And I was like, that one. And my mom was like, pick that dog up and hold on to it. And then they like went
My memories, they were all in like a pen.
They were. But she was like pointing. You could take them out and play with them. But she was like pointing, like, which one do you like?
And then Anna stuck her hand in the playpen to grab a puppy. And one of the puppies bit her, nipped her.
Oh, was that the
And
one you said that lady?
And she was the runt of the litter. Is it okay to say runt?
I don't know. You guys always did say I think it's fine. Well, yeah, I think it's. I'll look it up. I think the dogs aren't going to be offended.
Doesn't really seem appropriate anymore. I don't know why.
Can you? I think we're a little unhinged today. I mean, it's only if it's applied to a person. It's fine to call a dog a runt.
Yeah, so you guys were like adopting your dog, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, Jazzy.
And then Anna was like determined to get a dog. And then my parents were like, well, we have to go to Home Depot. So we all got in the car and went to Home Depot. And Anna was in the car sobbing the entire way there. And I just remember being really frustrated because I was like, why? Like, again, you did all this research. You've worked so hard. And you're just going to go to this little dog store and pick up the first dog you get?
Who bit you?
Who bit you?
Oh, that's so sad.
And then, so she cried. And then we drove back to Absolutely Puppies and adopted what would eventually become Lady
Jane. She was the sister of my dog, Jazzy.
Yeah.
Who didn't have a middle name. It was just Jazzy Dog, Bethany.
Really? Yeah. Dog?
That's what we would call her sometimes.
Jazzy Dog.
They kind of hated each other.
They would get really hyper around each other and chase each other around the yard.
Yeah. And then my dad, the number of times I've heard him say this, he will always be like, oh, the funniest thing happened. Jazzy and Lady were running all around being crazy. And then Miss Murphy came over to me and said, Mom liked you best. And my dad, like he pointed at them like they were fighting.
Fighting over who liked who.
My dad thinks that's the funniest joke ever. And he tells it like anytime we bring up.
A dad telling a dad joke. It was maximum dad jokes. What's the one about the potato? I want to get that recorded.
Oh, it's not like a joke. It's more about saying. I guess it is a joke. C'est la vie, c'est la guerre, c'est la plume de terre. That's life. That's war. That's a potato.
That's life. That's war.
That's a see. We.
Well, it's 9:00. The album's out.
We'll talk to you after we've experienced this album.
All right. We have now returned after listening to the full album.
Minus the bonus tracks.
Well,
I love the bonus. I always do. So I just want to flag that because I know they'll have a special place in my heart and I won't be able to talk about them right now.
What's your favorite song?
Okay. I wrote down the ones I liked.
Were you missing this?
Yes. I don't know how I got over there. It's in my earring.
How long are you missing it for?
I went upstairs. I thought I put them both in. I got over there. I tried to put them in on the stairs. And then I was like, wait, where's the other one? And it was gone.
When were you putting on an earring?
When I was going upstairs.
Today?
Yeah, like 20 minutes ago.
And somehow it's at my feet, far away from where you would have been putting them on?
Maybe like we kicked it over there or something. Anyway, that's what's been going on here. Okay, the ones I liked.
Well, how would you describe the overall music tone?
Contemplative.
Would it be a good final book in the Let Me Stick It series?
I guess as I revisit that theory, it doesn't quite fit.
It almost.
But wait, I found her bio. I found the prologue, and it does kind of fit. This is what she said: "The Tortured Poets Department, an anthology of new works that reflect events, opinions, and sentiments from a fleeting and fatalistic moment in time." One that was both sensational and sorrowful in equal measure. This period of the author's life is now over, the chapter closed and boarded up. There is nothing to avenge, no scores to settle once wounds have healed. And upon further reflection, a good number of them turned out to be self-inflicted. This writer is of the firm belief that our tears become holy in the form of ink on a page. Once we have spoken our saddest story, we can be free of it. And then all that's left behind is the tortured poetry. The Tortured Poets Department is out now. Thoughts?
Can you put pen to paper to tell the story and then you're free of it?
That's what she said.
But that's kind of like
I don't agree.
I don't agree at all with that.
So strongly disagree. I think it can help you understand it.
Yeah.
It's a form of therapy for sure. But I feel like I write about the same things in different forms over and over again.
But how much?
I'm never going to be over them ever. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, what percentage of Taylor Swift's writing is like truly herself?
I think of course, it's very like my own understanding of writing. So I feel like it's my own biases put onto this. But I just feel like most of the time writers, especially like at a high level, they're taking something that's like true, like a feeling or like an experience, and then twisting it into something else. I mean, yeah, maybe when she was 18, she was writing like, oh, I like this person in the hallway, I'm gonna write a story about it. But like in general, I just feel like that's not, our lives are not that, generally speaking, interesting, but the emotional content, of course, is to us. And so great artists can make it into something more dramatic and interesting.
So favorite songs.
But Daddy, I Love Him, my favorite so far. LOL. Florida. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? LOML. Clara Bow. I like those ones.
Well, the Torture Pose Department, I did not like that song.
That was bad. That made me fear for the entire album.
What's that one that had a really interesting chorus where it was almost like really staccato and you're like, I don't know if I
that was
this, but then you were like, but I can see myself maybe running to it.
It's hang on, I can tell you.
I could do it with a broken heart.
Yeah, I'm so depressed. I act like it's my birthday every day. I'm so obsessed with him, but he avoids like the plague. I cry a lot, but I'm so productive. It's an art, you're good when you can even do it with a broken heart. But it's like this. It was jarring, but I could see myself like becoming addicted to it.
Yeah, I described it almost had like a Western atmospheric Chris Isaac vibe to it. So, but Daddy, I Love Him. You were like, oh, it's country, but it still had the atmospheric part of it. I feel like isn't so like it wasn't in your face.
Yeah, it wasn't like
twang.
But Home on the Range. But Daddy, I Love Him, just to bring back our version.
Yeah, but Daddy, I Love Him.
But I really like that one because it's like a story. Like I can just really follow the emotional arc of that. Yeah. And then that's why I also liked Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. Because just like the emotion behind that is so clear.
I loved that song.
And I get what she's saying, even if I don't understand. Like I feel like a lot of times with her music, the more time has gone on, she'll write songs sometimes. I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And over time, I grew like Willow. We were just watching that. That one, I don't know what that song's about. Like I don't understand. That's so
interesting. Do you have to know what these songs? For me, I connect like you could be like speaking Simlish, and as long as like the way that Sims speak, where it's like there's no English is spoken, but like if I can feel the emotion, and then if the music is really carrying it, then I connect with it. But what's really interesting is you like want to know, like as we were listening to it, Allison had the lyrics pulled up and she was reading the lyrics to it, and I've never done that for an album. Actually, I did that.
I don't always do that, but for
Midnights, I did have it pulled up, but I didn't do it this time because I almost got too caught up in it and I didn't really listen to the album for...
I did have that thought because of the last one, Clara Bow, I thought was so good, but my eyes like went down really fast, so I saw the Taylor Swift thing before she said her name.
I loved hearing it. I was like, what's going on? That's your name.
I feel like that's what her greatest strength is she's just so self-reflective, and so all of her songs are kind of unpacking herself both on an internal level, but also like on a public level, like what am I to the public and what am I to my art?
Yeah.
And who am I to myself? And I, as a self-reflective person, to my detriment, find that appealing.
So how does this work into your gay lore theory?
I would say it doesn't really work that well in general, but I think if I were to listen again, there are probably themes I'll see. But there were none that, like with Midnights, I feel like certain songs stuck out immediately, like Maroon or Midnight Rain.
Yeah.
Those feel queer, or like they have queer, or even Lavender Haze. This one didn't have as much overt, like I was like immediately like, oh, that's a gay one. This one I was kind of like, but trust me, give me a few more. Because also I feel like this album was like denser. Like I'm going to have to think about more of the songs. Like I'm not quite sure I have a grasp on all of them.
I want a word count. I want a word count compared to Midnight's. Because there's so many like
word count
lines in each song that she just kind of like stuffs so many words in each song. I was like, oh my brain can't handle this. It's kind of, I also maybe need to re-listen. I was commenting Midnights, Taylor was saying these are the songs that I came up with, wasn't the whole theory like around like these like thoughts.
Yes.
But almost like with I almost feel like with this album, it's more appropriate, the like deep reflection and the wordiness. Whereas Midnights, that album was much more like pop. a pop dance album.
Well, it's probably because I don't think she'll add this. I think she'll add songs to the tour, like for the surprise songs, maybe she'll add one song, but I don't think she's going to add this whole thing to the tour. So she probably was thinking like Midnights is going to be my touring album. And then my next one will be the one that I won't tour will be, I can kind of be more.
She's not going to tour this album.
Her options are tack it onto this 3-hour-long tour, finish this tour and then do another tour, or just not tour this album at all and just pull a couple songs in every so often.
Oh, she still has an Eras tour?
She's supposed to go to like so many places in Europe and then she's coming back to the United States.
Oh, will you see her again?
If someone invites me, yeah. Or if there's a cheap ticket. But there's a theory, and I started explaining to you, but I'll explain to you again. So every time she goes to a place, she posts.
Says goodbye.
She says goodbye with a post on Instagram about the city. She's done it for every single city. She just didn't do LA, and everyone's like, oh, she just forgot. I'm sorry. Her paid marketing team didn't remind her to post a goodbye post? I think that's weird. All right, but wait, let me finish, okay? Then we were watching the Eras tour tonight, and she said, I'm so glad to be here in LA, the last stop on the US tour. But the US tour's not done. She's coming back to Indiana and Miami. And I think that she's going to return to LA and end the tour here.
See,
you've heard it here first.
And also we were watching it, and Allison's like, there's a really fun part that happens here. And she was like at the piano for the Evermore concert. She's like, it's something a little sneaky that she does. I was like, oh. And I was like trying to look. There's one part where she like kind of leans on the piano. I was like, was that the sneak? Did she like grab something? What's like the sneaky part? And then she's like, hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. Finally, Taylor's like, yes, you know, during this time I've released 5 albums. And Allison was like, oh, you hear that? She'll release 4. Only title will be 5. And I was like, oh.
Apparently she's been doing that like every time, like on every
Did
stop.
she do that during the live show?
I think so. So she's been doing it on purpose, which is sneaky.
Sneaky. I just remember when we did our listen through with Midnights, I was like, man, this isn't very good. And then the next day I just like could not stop listening to it. So I definitely think I need time to digest.
Same
but this
thing.
is not like, I don't think the songs are going to be like as much of earworms as like dance music. Like they're much more thought-provoking and almost kind of overwhelming to like listen to the whole album. You really
it was because it was so many different like emotions.
Yeah. And just off of and maybe I'll change my mind, maybe you'll change your mind, but I kind of like was I don't know where the divide happens, but I think that I liked the second half of the album more than the first half.
I agree.
Aside from like Fortnite in the first half was really strong,
yes,
which like leads the whole album. And Florida was pretty good too.
I liked Florida. I feel like I have this thing where if there's a song I don't like, I get like kind of like scared and annoyed, like, oh no, this whole thing's gonna be bad. So after we heard the Tortured Post Department, I was like,
which is track number 2.
And I really
like
liked parts of that song, but then there were other parts that were really stupid. No offense.
I wish they had reorganized. Well, but what's the Clara Bow?
That one was great.
Was like and is the last line the Taylor Swift line?
Yes.
It's
such a smart.
So good. I would have track 2, get rid of it.
I would have deleted that. I would have put the Black Dog or the Albatross or one of those other ones I didn't get to hear yet.
So it kind of reminds me. So I love Alanis Morissette. She's like, yeah, but ever since Jagged Little Pill, ever since after that, someone like gave her like a thesaurus. And it seems like she just like think of a word and then she'll look up at her thesaurus, look up for like a
better word.
A better, like more, but sometimes it like doesn't fit, it like feels a little inauthentic. So I'm just kind of comparing it with like
there's something there that happens here, I think, as well.
With the Tortured Poets Department, it kind of feels like the thesaurus kind of, like, it's like what, like you kind of just like the way it sounds, but
I think it's like, it does feel more like poetry. Like it's just that when you try and set that, because especially because she's a pop artist, so you set that to music and you're just kind of like a little bit like, okay. I mean, I enjoyed that for the most part, but there were a few words I felt, okay, there's also this thing where people in the last couple albums have been like, Taylor Swift uses such big words. And then I just feel like maybe she really liked that and is going for it. Is going for it hard.
So get this. So Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill was her breakthrough album. She follows the next album up. I'm so curious what you think this means. Her next album is called Supposed Former Infatuation Junkie.
Okay.
What does that mean?
All right. I'm going to pretend this is an SAT question or something where I have to like find the meaning. Supposed former
infatuation junkie.
Okay. My interpretation of that is, rumor has it, Alanis is a recovered love addict. That's my interpretation.
Oh, whoa.
But it was kind of hard to get there. I'm not gonna lie. Like it took me a second to.
Supposed former infatuation junkie.
I wouldn't say it's the best way to say that, but
no.
But it's kind of funny because it's kind of like it is kind of tongue in cheek. Like supposedly I'm this, but is that true? Wink. You know, I kind of actually like it.
So then, after listening to this album, how would you, with your excellent SAT skills, decipher? It's such a fucking tongue twister. Tortured Poets Department.
Okay, so that's the part I really liked about the song was when they used the word. I'm gonna pull up lyrics to that because there were parts I really liked and there were parts I was annoyed by it. How do you think this compares to Folklore and Evermore?
Well, this album definitely seems more in the vein of those two albums. There are actually some really intense songs on here where Taylor or the person she's writing in the viewpoint of is really like bitter and intense.
Yes, that what was the line that we said was really bitter.
Was it the Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? That song's really good.
That song was great.
That's if I like have to choose a song to immediately return back to, I think I want to listen to that one and Clara Bow, honestly.
Yeah. I love the way she like screamed in Who's Afraid of Little Old Me.
Yeah.
But what was the line? I'm going to find that next.
Yeah, but I was kind of saying that it almost feels like if Folklore, Evermore, and Reputation kind of swirled together into one.
Going back to the Clara Bow line.
Yeah.
You look like Taylor Swift in this light, but you're better. Basically, the line was like, you're better than her because you've got edge and it's dazzling.
But, okay, so this one, LOML,
Yeah.
kept saying love of my life over and over and over again until at the very end it says loss of my life.
Which was fantastic.
And then so in Clara Bow, isn't it the same thing where it's like, you look like Clara Bow, blah, blah, blah. And then
You look
at
like
the end,
Stevie
it's like,
Nicks.
you look, oh, so she changes the
She
person
changed it
every
each time. I forget if there was a third one, and then the last one was like, you look like Taylor Swift.
Well, so that's really interesting that in track 2 that we despise so much, the part where they're talking about, what's that place in New York
The Chelsea Hotel.
The Chelsea Hotel. We're just a couple of idiots.
I liked that part.
But it's like that track 2 is like downplaying like who they are and like,
Yeah.
but I would argue like someone at like Stevie Nicks has like the high caliber and history.
So it's Clara Bow.
And Clara Bow. And then so in the end, for Taylor Swift to include herself in that, she kind of like is attaching herself to all those people.
I think it's a split between like the private life and the public life and like the life of the artist and the legacy that you leave. And the idea, because the other line in the Clara Bow song is like, I'll die if I don't make it or something like that. Like the idea of like when you're young and you're like, I want to be a star. And now I'm thinking of, I'm a star from Pearl. But anyway, when you want that and you can't really understand what it means to get it. And then you hear someone say to you, you look like this person, but you're better, da, da, da. You don't really understand what they're saying to you and the cost of it and how you're going to be pushed into history in this in a box, basically, and how also your life's going to be so scrutinized and taken from you in so many ways and dehumanized. And that's kind of what I took from it. And so I thought it was really interesting, especially because that line, the specific line, like, you look like Taylor Swift, but you have edge and she never did. It does make me think of like Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah, because she is exactly like, she's a writer. She's very talented in that particular realm, but she's like kind of punk, like, right? She kind of has that edge to her. And made me think about how like there's another young person coming up. She's even bringing guests out at her concert, like famous guests.
Olivia Rodrigo is?
Yeah, like she brought out Noah Kahan, and then she brought somebody else.
I don't know who Noah Kahan is.
The season of the sticks.
I love him.
And then somebody else, I forget who.
Well,
And how she's just kind of stepping into those shoes, and we think, yeah. Anyway.
In a reverse, in a hard pivot. Allison, oh my God. We have so much to talk about.
We do? Oh my God. Wait, should I quickly read the Torture Poets thing?
Yes.
All right, just to close the loop. Okay. The line I liked, you left your typewriter at my apartment, straight from the Tortured Poets department. I liked that. And then I liked this part. I laughed in your face and said, you're not Dylan Thomas. I'm not Patti Smith. This ain't the Chelsea Hotel. We're modern idiots. Great. But the rest of it was just like there's what does this line mean? Like a tattooed golden retriever. What does that mean? I'm gonna find out what it means. Okay.
How many songs do you think were written about Matt Healy and how much were Joe Alwyn?
I don't understand how somebody could date someone for 3 months and write songs about them.
But wasn't there a secret relationship before it was announced to the public?
How? I like the timeline doesn't make sense to me. Like Joe
Is she a supposed former infatuation junkie?
Yes. I just like, that's the thing where sometimes when I like my sister's gonna text me about which songs she thinks which people are about, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to think about it like that. But then with some of them are obviously like, some of them felt like So Long London felt like obviously about Joe. That's where the bitter line was, I think. No, what was the really bitter line? I think it was in So Long London. I gotta find it.
No, I thought. Oh wait, what was the line? Yeah, wait, we both looked at each other. It was So Long London. It was bad, but it was good, but bad. It was like, you took my youth.
Oh yeah, it was like
that one. So
I'm pissed off you let me give you all that youth for free.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Chilling.
I feel it. It hurt me in my heart. But at the same time, I was like, you're still young. Don't worry about it.
We both looked at each other when that line was sung. Oh.
What were you going to say? What?
So, well, a couple things. That reminded me, just talking about Olivia Rodrigo, a guest coming out on stage. Coachella was last weekend and this coming weekend. And I was here home alone. And then it reminded me that you were in San Diego.
Oh, yes.
Which also reminds me these happened before you left for San Diego.
True.
But what I first want to say is Saturday, I was like going to bed by myself. And I remember that No Doubt was playing at Coachella. It's their first time they performed. together in 9 years. And I was like, oh, I wonder if like maybe like tomorrow like someone will post like YouTube clips. And so I just like Googled them on YouTube really quick. And there was a live stream at Coachella and No Doubt was performing. And Gwen had so much energy. All the band had so much energy. I just like could not help but just like continue watching. And I got so energized. I was like, I feel like I need to like go for a run. Like, this is amazing. And so I went downstairs and we have a rower. So I started rowing.
I just love this image.
At like 11 o'clock at night by myself to No Doubt. It was just like, I can't express how it just like transported me, to use one of your words, transported me back to being like a teenager and listening to their music. And it was really exciting. It ties in Olivia Rodrigo because when the song Bathwater played, Olivia came out and surprised the audience and sang with Gwen. And it was really cool because she's kind of passing the torch because she's kind of like the young...
They have a similar vibe.
Punk, yeah. But it's almost like a No Doubt meets Taylor Swift.
Exactly. That's what I think that
with a little more edge. I wouldn't say... I don't know. I feel like
she doesn't really have edge. She's like a singer-songwriter, Olivia, just like Taylor, right? Yeah. But like she's just a little bit more like, she frowns more.
Well, but I do think of like... already so early in her career, I just remember that one music video where she's like going to meet that guy and she like is like in a flatbed truck and she's like singing like
Bad Idea, right?
Bad Idea, right?
Such a good song. I love Olivia
very punk and intense and kind of sexually charged.
But I guess I just think like she's like her strongest thing is the writing and it ties her to Taylor Swift in my mind.
Yeah.
One thing I love that Olivia does is like people are like, what's this song about? And she'll be like, I don't know, I just wrote it. Like she won't answer. I think that's really smart.
I think that's smart.
But quick side note about No Doubt.
Oh.
We should tell. This is very important. I think it's more important to me than to Joe, but Joe famously loved No Doubt. When I moved away from Seattle in 2006, if you would ask me what's one fact about Joe, I would say he loves movies and he loves No Doubt.
And he loves frogs.
I didn't know that until I was an adult. I didn't know that back then.
My embarrassing. You never. I'm
sure I saw frog things. I didn't know.
My AOL name was so fucking embarrassing.
I don't think we ever AIM'd. Do you think we ever did? I doubt it.
Had Irish Gal was on my list.
Really?
I think so.
That's so nice. Wow.
You never messaged Joe Frog Love?
Well, I like tried to get back into my AIM, but they've wiped it all. It's gone. You can never see it again. I would love to see my writings from back then.
I don't want to see my writings. I can't imagine what stupid things I was saying.
I love to look back at the archived me. Sometimes I even like rewatching things because it helps me remember like, where was I? What place was I in at that time? And anyway, Joe loved No Doubt. And I was very humiliated by my lack of knowledge about music. Oh. And so I decided that my only way to appear cool to Joe was to act like I hated No Doubt and to make fun of him for liking No Doubt. And so I really committed to this bit. But to be honest, I had never heard No Doubt until Joe told me.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, when my sister starts talking about Pink, you do all you can to pretend that you love Pink Panther, even though she was talking about the artist Pink.
Okay, but I think I was a little traumatized because one time and another time she said to me, "Are you like more NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?" And I was like, "I'm not sure." No, she's like, "You have to pick one. You definitely know. There's like one that's obviously better." I mean, this might have been how it went down. And I was like, NSYNC. I don't really remember which one I said. And then she was like, well, it's clearly the Backstreet Boys. So I just like never wanted that experience to happen again. So then we were outside and Anna was talking about how she liked Pink. And I was like, I'm just going to pretend that I know what she's talking about. And I'm like, yeah, Pink. Pink's great. I love Pink. And I would have gotten away with it too. But then I said, like, Pink like the Pink Panther. And I was thinking of like the theme song.
Wait, what is this theme song?
It's like, there was like a movie with Steve Martin that came out around that time, which is probably why I even knew what the Pink Panther was.
We want to talk about that one. How does all that I can think of is the Addams Family theme song.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna play it for you. You know, I really remember that time in my life so clearly. I just feel like I never really changed all that much.
I feel like I changed a lot and then I kind of returned back to it. I was kind of like, you know what? I kind of liked myself at this age.
I think that's what I agree with this theory.
Are we regressing or are we just returning home?
That was another line I liked. She said something like, so precocious that you never grow up or something like that. I really liked that line. I forget what song
We're going back to Taylor?
Yeah. I'm going to play the Pink Panther theme song, but I thought that's really accurate. I feel like if you're really a kid who's acting very mature, there's probably a reason you're acting very mature. Like you have too much responsibility at home, whatever it might be. And I just think that means when you're an adult, you're going to have this period of time where you suddenly not regress, but you just have to catch up to everybody else who like went through all their like childish adventures that you didn't have because you were trying to like hold it all together. That's my armchair psychology theory for you. I'm sure I read it somewhere else. And now for your listening pleasure. The Big Panther theme.
Oh, that song. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
It's great. Dun-dun, dun-dun,
Dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun.
dun-dun, 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 dun-dun.
Do you think Taylor would ever do a jazz album?
I'm going to say never because she does seem, but everyone keeps wanting her to do a rock album and that's what I wanted to do. But unfortunately.
She make more than one. It's not like she has to. It's not like her
No jazz.
next one is the final album.
Rock.
You can't see Allison right now, but she's sticking her tongue out and doing the punk rock symbol.
I'm painting my face like
JoJo Siwa.
I was like gonna say JoJo.
Gene Simmons.
No, those guys that have like the dark hair and then they paint their face white and they're kind of scary looking.
Kiss.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons.
Oh. See, I don't know anything about music, but I no longer pretend.
All right, you guys. Last Friday, less than a week ago. A week ago, we were recording Interview with the Vampire, and towards the end of the podcast, Allison looked up at the ceiling, very alarmed, and I was like, what's going on? She's like, I thought I saw a cockroach.
Did I say cockroach or say bug?
I think you said bug.
Okay. I don't think I would say the word out loud, but we all knew
it was
what
coded.
I meant.
It's your Voldemort.
Basically, yes.
And I was like, no. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but at least every 2 weeks, Allison will call me down and ask if I saw a cockroach or if that was the shadow of a cockroach or something cockroach related. Ever since we've been living together for like 3 years now.
We've never seen one.
We've never seen one. And so that shadow on the ceiling, I was like, oh, Allison, once again.
Well, I was making it up. She's hallucinating like ChatGPT.
I go to bed that night.
Wait, let me just describe what I saw. Okay, I guess it's not that interesting. I saw a shape flying above me. Like a bat in a vampire movie, which, yes, we were talking about vampires.
Cockroaches fly.
They can. Some of them can.
So I go to bed, sleeping. And Allison has to wake up really early the next day to go take the train to San Diego. I heard the front gate close. I was like, oh, Allison's off. And then I woke up to a text. But before I reveal, and I'm sure, dear listener, you've already guessed what has happened.
We think you're smart and can figure it out.
But now I'll let Allison take it away and reveal her side of the story.
I wake up really early, which, side note, I didn't have to do that because apparently the conference didn't start until noon, but I thought it started at 9 a.m. So that's why I was getting up that early. So anyway, I was coming downstairs, when I get up, I am generally very happy, at least externally. But in the mornings, when I have to wake up early, I don't really feel that way. I feel very angry that I have to wake up, and then I feel very everything is messed up, and I think about all the things I have to do, and I'm like, when will I ever get to sleep again? Okay, so anyway, I go downstairs. I'm all packed. I'm gotta get there. I'm kind of running late, not super late, but I don't know. I've taken the train so many times on the East Coast, and it's stupid to show up early, and I didn't want to show up early to downtown LA and be down there. So I was trying to cut to last minute, but I was a little bit worried. And so I did everything. I packed everything up. I was ready to go call my Uber. And then I go into the kitchen and turn the sink on. And then this little disgusting, I even don't want to say the word, cockroach crawl behind the sink very slowly. And I jumped back and screamed and then kind of whimpered. If I could recreate it, would be, ah! That's kind of what I did. And in my mind, I was like, we are infested. This is such a disaster. Oh, my Uber's here. Thank God. I'll deal with this later. So then I ran out the door and texted Joe. And then I sat on the train and I was like, when will Joe wake up? When will Joe wake up? When will Joe wake up?
And then also what had happened that night is the internet had stopped working when I went to bed.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Wi-Fi stopped working.
We could talk about that too.
And so I wake up and I'm trying to find the text exchange. Saturday. 5:46 a.m. 3 crying face emojis. This is what I wake up to. It was small, but I saw a cockroach in the kitchen by the sink. And I was like, oh, fuck. I was awake for maybe 15, 30 minutes. I was like, I just can't. I'm just gonna pretend this isn't real. This isn't my reality right now. This fear that Allison has had for so long has come true. This is horrible. I also was worried it was gonna be a giant infestation happening or something. I don't know.
I mean, that would be
really
terrifying.
concerned.
I should have waited till you were downstairs.
And then I texted you at 8 a.m. and I was like, we'll have to be more diligent about cleaning. I think it might be good to have a cleaner every 3 months too. And then you said, oh, you kind of agreeing about the cleaner. And I come downstairs and all like the kitchen light is on, like all of the downstairs lights are on.
Which doesn't make sense. How'd I get them on with the internet being off? That's a side story.
Yeah. And then you're like, it may be hitched a ride on your Costco order. I had ordered Costco on Friday. I pray. And check the coffee pot and toaster and the paper bag on the floor! Exclamation point. They like that stuff, LOL. Did you hear me see it? Question mark. I kind of yelled / whimpered. This is like
I was waiting.
10 texts in a row. I was like, oh. And then all I responded was, I was like, I didn't. And then I was like, was the Wi-Fi working for you when you were off? I was like,
I forgot so much about that.
So just like, yeah, of course we see a fucking cockroach and like the Wi-Fi's not working, which oddly enough, the Wi-Fi stopped working the day after the Midnight's album came out.
Yes.
Taylor Swift.
Yes.
And as we're approaching this new album, our internet was acting funky again.
I think she knows that we're onto her. And her associates are messing with us.
She's like, we're getting close.
Or with me.
They're getting too close.
And that's why it's a series of unfortunate events.
We had our own series of unfortunate events.
But so, yeah, I come back on Sunday and Joe's been here all week and he hasn't found it. And I knew in my heart of hearts, I was like, I'm going to find this bad guy, this thing I don't want in my house. I'm going to find it. Okay, also, should I tell my weird Uber story? I just feel like it's kind of mean, but it's also just so disturbing every time I think about it. Okay. Every time I thought about the cockroach when I was in San Diego, I shuddered. And I just kept thinking about it over and over again every so often. And I was dreading returning home, even though I wanted to go home at the same time. So then I return and I'm in the station. I'm waiting for my Uber. And this woman like pulls up and she like kind of pulls farther away. Yeah, I open the trunk and the trunk just has like a suitcase that's like half open. It has like a doll sticking out of it. And it's like really just kind of dirty in the back and like just not very pleasant. I'm like, oh, it's fine. And I put my suitcase in there and then I go into the seat and the car's like kind of old looking, like doesn't feel very clean, but that's, it's fine. The woman's very kind, but she doesn't do this really weird like polka music, or I don't even know which one. It was like dun 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 dun. It was all just like like noises, and she's kind of humming and singing to it a little bit, and then
was it the Pink Panther theme song over
and
over again?
It's kind of like that.
You're like, this is catchy.
Then we pull away, and as we're pulling away, she like turns to the seat next to her, and it's very tall front seats, so I can't see anything. But she's like talking to an animal, like a cat or a dog. Like,
what does she say?
Oh, honey, it's okay. But it's like not a baby. And so I'm like, oh, there's a cat or dog up there. I love cats, or well, I hate cats, but I love dogs. So I'm like, how cute. But so anyway, but then she like the dog doesn't make any sound. Like it's very strange. And we're driving, she's humming, and then she's off her sweater, and all this like dust
comes off it.
It was so.
Is it like when the sunlight hits perfectly in my room, like the sun rays?
It was like
I'll
that.
Move like any like object, I'll just see like all this like dust particles will fly off it, but I think it's just like the dust particles that like exist.
I mean, it was like that, but it was a lot.
A lot.
Like it was. I think I've seen that many a times, but it was just too much.
That's gross. Isn't that gross that there's always just like dust floating around that we can't see?
It's very disturbing. Okay, and then we get home, and I'm like, all right, I'm excited to get out of this car. And then I'm like, oh, I want to look at the dog on my way out. And I kind of look over the edge of the window when I pass, and there is nothing in the front seat.
That's really disturbing.
It's really weird.
That's really disturbing.
And so then I have to come in here and
to the cockroach house.
And so basically, to tell you the story, I am on guard. I vacuum everything. And then I make Joe just go to bed. I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to stand there while I pour myself more water before I go to bed.
And I kind of like internally like rolled my eyes. I didn't literally, but I was like, oh, this is going to be ridiculous.
This is how she's going to be from now on. And then I go in, I turn the light on, and I scan the whole kitchen. And the last place I look, the tea box.
It's so sad. Our friend bought us little tea packets.
So then we did a very Herculean effort where I did nothing except get the vacuum and set it up. And then Joe
so you were
attacked.
Like, literally, it just seemed like Allison like walked into the kitchen, and then a second passes and Allison goes out. She's like, it's in there. It's in there. It's in there. I was like, oh no, here we go. I felt like I was like walking up to like the home plate to, I'm trying to, my baseball.
Yeah, you were up to bat.
I was up to bat.
And the bases are loaded.
And I'm trying to scan the room, and Allison's like, what were you were like on the tea.
But you couldn't see it at
on
first.
The tea.
I was like, to the right,
on the
to
tea.
the
So
right.
I was like, we had like the kettle, and I was like looking at the kettle, and you're like, the tea. I was looking at the coffee pot, the tea. Damn
I was
it, the
so
tea.
afraid that you were going to look and it was going to be gone. I was really
finally,
scared.
I like turned my head all the way to the right, and I saw it on our little buffet table. It was just standing on our little It's like a little tea box that had a little tea pack inside of it.
Ugh.
And I'm like, get the vacuum in. Allison, like, I felt like we were like changing a tire in like a NASCAR race. And Allison like swiftly like brings the vacuum over, and then she like plugs it into the wall. And then I like pull the hose out. And then my fear was I was going to like, as soon as I reached it, was going to dart. And it was like really tiny too.
It was slow. It was dying, we think.
Hopefully.
We got it.
I brought the nose up to the vacuum and sucked it up. And it was just like, it felt kind of good that it was trapped in this thing, but then it was also kind of creepy that it was just like possibly roaming around with this vacuum cleaner. And so Allison and I both kind of like looked at each other and I was like, do we like...
I think we're like, maybe we should get rid of it. And then we're like, let's go downstairs and empty it down there. And then we went downstairs and we were like, we're just
there's no way in hell I'm going to open this thing and have it all of a sudden run.
But I was so relieved because I just feel like it was like just like with the alarm. We'll tell that story another time. But when our alarm went off, like you just never know. Like I could see another version of that story. Like you were a different kind of person. You hear the alarm and you're like, it's fine. Let's just go and go to bed. And I would be like, no, but I wouldn't be brave enough to like go out on my own.
Long story short, our carbon monoxide alarm went off. So then we went over to a friend's place to sleep over.
And so I just felt like, a kindred spirit, somebody who also wants to throw away the vacuum cleaner because there's a cockroach inside.
I feel like I don't really panic until I'm panicking is kind of my mode of panic. I'm either not panicking or panicking.
I mean, yes.
But yeah, so we had a cockroach, but then also our internet was out that weekend. And previously 2 years ago when Midnights was released, our internet went out and we had to replace the Wi-Fi router. The router needed to be replaced. And so this time around, I was like, okay, nothing's working. I need to replace the Wi-Fi router. So it was Sunday. Allison wasn't back yet. I was like,
now I want to read your text.
We need to get this internet solved. So I go to do my favorite thing, get Costco gas, fill up on gas. I'm near a Walmart. Great. I'll get a cheap Wi-Fi router there. I go purchase a new router. I bring it back to the house. I set it all up and the internet is still not working. So I call Spectrum and they tell me to unplug the coax cable. I think that's what it's called. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I tug on the cable and I'm like, this probably like leads outside. And I go outside and then Allison, do you want to take it off from there?
Yes. I get this text from Joe, and my favorite kind of text, I know something important when somebody texts my name first. So the first thing, with nothing else, the first thing I see is, Allison, someone cut our internet cord outside. And I go, what? Where's the internet cord? The new router wasn't working, as you said, blah, blah. And then there's a white cord outside the rain gutter. It's been cut. So that means like something after or during our recording, someone came by and cut it. And I said, oh my God, I'm sending an email about that. And you said, Spectrum is coming today to fix it. And then I asked some more questions and then you sent me a video. Oh yeah, then I said, I'm going to mention how I feel unsafe in the email.
And I was like,
and how much you spent, I didn't say how much it was.
Yeah, I basically sent a video of me like walking out I was like, Alice needs to understand how close the cable was to our front door. So I showed a video of me like walking out the front door, like walking up to the cable was like really close. I'm like, someone probably heard us when we were recording our podcast.
They didn't like it.
They cut our cable.
So I send this big long email. It's very strongly worded. And then Joe texts me like 30 minutes later, be like, actually, it's the modem.
Spectrum came and I was like, yeah, long story short, our cable's been cut and the cable needs to be replaced. And the guy's like, well, I have this little machine that I can go and test the cable. And so he uses his machine. He's like, well, actually, there's no signal to this cable. So it's probably not that. He's like, it actually looks like it hasn't been in use for a very long time. I'm like, oh. And he comes in, he's like, oh yeah, it's like your modem's dead. It usually happens every 2 or 3 years and you get replaced. I was like, oh, I should probably let Allison know that it was not. And see, this is the bad thing. There's good things about living with Allison. There's bad things about living with her. And I say this jointly between the two of us. I'm saying
we bring out the best and the worst.
Exactly.
In each other.
Because
we jump.
Dare I tell?
Do you want to tell it today or do you want to tell it
I feel like we're telling a lot of our good stories.
There's another story. Basically, to tease it a little bit, we
thought we got anthrax poisoning.
Yeah. We really jump to disaster very quickly and we find the evidence and we tell each other a story and then we kind of feed off of each other. I mean, this time around I had to shamefully say, hello, I'm so sorry this was an overreaction on our part and please don't disregard.
Which honestly, we don't even know if that person still works for that management company.
That's true. That makes me feel slightly better.
Yeah, the Tortured Poets Department. That's what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, for some reason I get so fixated on tortured and department. I kind of forget the word the poet's in there.
Yeah.
So then I kind of
That's what I was saying earlier.
The fact that it's such a wordy album.
I think that's why.
It makes much more sense.
If this is all,
Allison's doing crunches again. That's why I heard
I just chose a very poor
microphone.
I just chose a very poor way to sit. I think that I'm gonna listen to it twice. I think it's gonna be an album that really grows on me because it is like a lot of food for thought.
Yeah.
And there were some catchy ones too, but a lot of it was contemplative in a way that I like. I am curious. She's been doing this thing and been flashing a lot of twos.
What does this mean? Oh, with her fingers?
Yeah. And like in social media, there's like twos.
Or like a peace sign.
Yeah. So some people think.
Which could be symbolic for like she's at peace with all her past relationships.
That's honestly one of the better theories I've heard. Most people are saying double album, Reputation also coming out. So what I'm trying to say is if this is the conclusion, I feel like I don't really know how it fits into the moment, to be honest. Like just looking at Taylor Swift as an artist, she's on this Eras tour. She's put out the Torture Post Department. How does that fit into what's going on right now?
In her life?
Just artistically. Like, it's an interesting choice to do that while she's still on tour. I'm not quite sure I see... is she, like, never going to tour again? Because with the last song... I don't know. I'm intrigued. But if there's more coming soon, like in a fortnight, for example, then I think there might be more to unpack.
Are we past the Taylor Swift peak?
I mean, I don't know how much bigger she could really get. She can't. I mean, I think she can become bigger. Let's say she was into directing and she'd be in like 15 years. She's an amazing director or something like that. Then she could hit a peak again. But I just don't know if like
music.
She's already won Album of the Year. You know what I mean? How many times? And it's like a record. Like she can't really go much further.
Your favorite Taylor Swift album?
My favorite Taylor Swift album?
Reputation.
I don't know. I just think I like Reputation. I basically like everything from Reputation onward, but then a lot of the other songs are nostalgic. And I like Folklore. I like Midnights, to be honest. Especially the 3 a.m. edition.
I never listened to those ones.
You need to. The last 7 songs that were added are incredible.
Yeah, the Tortured Post Department. It's a very thought-provoking album. And it will need to be, you can't really summarize it.
You can't.
And it would have been fun to do our like immediate reaction to Midnights just because I think that was just a louder album.
True. It's interesting though, when we did listen to that, I remember like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to it tonight. And you're like, oh, listen. And I was kind of like, I didn't know how big of a Swiftie you were. Like, and I was kind of like,
you were uncomfortable.
What's gonna happen here? And yes. And then you were like, I didn't really like it. And I was like, oh, so sad. But then you ended up loving it. And now here we are. Look at this. Times change.
Well, is there anything else to really report on? What's going on? What do you have going on?
Tomorrow's Friday. I'm relieved. I'm seeing Monkey Man this weekend. I'm excited about that. We're seeing Challengers on Monday.
Should that be our next episode?
Yes. Guys, I've been saying the whole time that Challengers is a queer movie, and I stand by that.
Yeah.
Because it is.
But we'll report back.
But maybe I'm wrong.
It really is.
But did you hear about, I told you about this, but I'm going to tell you too on the podcast. Online, there's this thing happening where people are like, whoa, how weird. Look at all the Spider-Man movies. Look at how all of the couples dated. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Every single one of those couples dated at some point in time. Zendaya and Tom Holland are still dating, and they are very adorable. Okay? Then all of the ladies went on to star in a tennis movie. Wimbledon. The Battle of the Sexes. Challengers.
Wait, that's crazy.
And then the guy, something similar happened, but I don't remember what it was. It chilled me.
Everything's planned out. There's a
The
new
Matrix
variety or something like saying how Hollywood's dead.
I saw that. I'm going to read that. It's saved on my laptop. I'll probably read it before I go to bed, actually.
That's scary.
Yeah, I'm scared to read that article. But I do think like, yes, I think the industry is going through this period where it's going to it might die completely, but from death comes disruption. And, since we haven't made headway, really, I actually think it's a good thing because it means when the dust settles, we're still here. We're still here ready to bounce.
We're just like cockroaches that cannot be killed.
But I think it's like people, have you ever heard of the term, I'm sorry, I'm going to get very academic here, but have you ever heard the term the abject self?
No.
We have to learn about it in college, I believe. And it's the idea that things that disgust us and disturb us the most are things that remind us of ourselves in the like grossest, most disturbing way possible. So like,
we are bugs. You are bugs.
But like vomit, it's like something of you and you're disgusted by it, right?
Yeah.
That's the abject self. And like a cockroach, the way it behaves, there's something about it that reminds us of the way we behave when we're trying to survive, and it disturbs us.
Oh. Or like how a bug like needs nourishment just like we need nourishment.
Yeah.
And they want to be like sheltered in a home, and we're sheltered in a home. We're like, wow, that's
Exactly.
disgusting.
And they're disgusting, and we're seeing how we are disgusting. And so it disturbs us.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, but I'm still scared of them. We hope to never, ever see one again.
You just heard something creak.
I did. And I
No,
looked.
I don't think the body weight of a cockroach could make the floor creak. So I don't think you need to worry about that.
Ah.
But, you know, the last podcast, you had suspicions, and
The only suspicions I want is that I do want there to be a double album. And so that's going to be the... Do you think there's going to be a double album? That's what I'm going to say.
and with that, should we play the Pink Panther theme song?
Oh, yes. You heard it here first. The next Taylor Swift album will be a jazz album. Well, good night.
And talk to you
Next week.
Look
at us go.
Every Thursday.
Hold up! Turn my phone back on. Double album. I knew this was going to happen. It's a 2 a.m. surprise. The Tortured Postpartum is a secret double album. I'd written so much torture poetry in the past 2 years and wanted to share it all with you. So here's the second installment of TTPD, the anthology. 15 extra songs, and now the story isn't mine anymore. It's all yours. Oh. I love Taylor Swift.
The black dog's on here and everything.
Oh, so she put that's so nice of her.
The black dog.
Albatross?
The black dog, I'm going to get you back, all one word. Ooh. The albatross, Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus. How did it end? Question mark.
Guys.
So high school.
I like it.
I hate it here. Thank you, Amy.
Gay.
All lowercase, but the K in thank is capital.
Oh.
And the I am in Amy is capital. Kim.
Wait. Thank you, Kim? Kim? Amy? What?
Thank you, Amy, but then it spells out Kim in capitals.
I'm intrigued.
I look in people's windows.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, I could.
The prophecy.
These are always better. It's always better.
Cassandra.
That means
Peter, the bolter, Robin, the manuscript.
Guys.
The Taylor Swift expansion pack is now out.
Okay, let me just quickly explain to you how this connects back to my Lemony Snicket theory. So in my research about Lemony Snicket and the series of unfortunate events, I read that the volunteer fire department had this theater that they created, and they put on this play, but the play has been lost to time. But then like another group kind of like took it over, and they put on the same play, but from a different perspective. And they said, this is what really happened. Oh, I think it was like the history of the VFD. So there are 2 plays about the history of the VFD that have very different takes on what went down. And then both of these scripts are like lost to time. And so I don't know, in my mind, I was like, if there's a double album, I bet like part 1 will be like one version of events, and part 2 will be the other version of events. And if you really want to be crazy and you want to go into conspiracy theory land, it could be like, this is my straight version of my life, and this is the gay version of my life.
Oh my gosh. There are 15 on the original and 15 on this double album?
So if I'm right about this, I take it all back. This one's the gayest yet, but we'll see. we sell sheep.
So it seems like we're going to say we sell seashells down by the seashore.
I'll say we shall see, but I was getting too excited and I started to go into tongues.
Alice is becoming manic.
I get there sometimes.
So this will be really interesting. So we listened to the first half together, and I think each of us will separately listen to the second half.
Although, okay, then there's another theory, you guys.
That Reputation is going to come out also.
Well, she's doing a lot of 3, 2, 1 countdowns. Okay, and so Midnight's is number 3, Torture Poets is number 2, and there's going to be one more new album at some point in time that is tied to this as like a series.
She's insane.
Here am I complaining about how I need to sleep in, and I never get to sleep in, and there she is writing her albums.
Yeah, she also doesn't really have to like manage other people though, right?
I hope not. I
mean, I guess being the boss in a way, you kind of have to manage
that's
people.
true. That's true. She probably, I imagine it would be like, I don't know, like a lot of people depend on you for their livelihood and stuff like that, and that must be a little stressful.
Yeah.
But I think they're probably doing okay.
Just fine.
They're probably doing okay. Taylor, you want to hire me? I'll do anything.
Well, we will chat with you very soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.